Hi there, Scary Gary. Glad you guys came back for another week. Today we're going to be talking about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. This was Mary Lou's idea, and it was a fine, good idea. At first I had my misgivings. I'm mostly a history and news type guy, but I did grow up in the 60s and 70s, and music, it's always been around, and I really, truly enjoyed. The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, commonly called Rock Hall, is in Cleveland, Ohio. And a group started by Ahmed Nugia was, and I probably mispronounced his name, he was the president of Atlantic Records. The name may sound familiar because you probably saw it in the movie Ray. But in April the 20th of 1983, they started a Rock and Roll Hall Foundation, and they decided that they're going to try to find a place to make a Hall of Fame. And there was several cities in the running for it. Philadelphia was one of them because of American Bandstand. It was the home of Bob Haley and the Comets. Memphis, which was the home of Sun Records and Ray Records. Detroit, of course, Motown. Cincinnati, which was King Records, and then New York and Cleveland. Now, Cleveland won, mostly because, or partly because, they chipped in $65 million to get it started. And due to it was Alan Freed's hometown, and Alan Freed is actually the creator of the word rock and roll, and he had several big rock and roll concerts. On September the 1st of 1995, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, commonly called Rock Hall, was dedicated. It's located right down on Lake Erie, right on the lakefront. It is open, I think it's opened at 9 in the morning, it goes to 5. We stayed there about 4 hours. And we didn't read everything, but it was just a very good place to go. Now there's several floors there. I think it was at least 7, and it starts out at the basement, and it actually is the Ahmed Nugia area, and it kind of showed you the history of the start of rock and roll from the Delta days and different towns where it came from, and the rockabillys, and it kind of went up and then hit several different genres all the time. Disco. It hit Super Bowls, which is one of my favorite areas. They basically would show you the Super Bowl shows, all the way through, and there was a lot of rock and roll music in those. It went all the way up to Pink Floyd's The Wall, and even the very top floor was kind of a place for guitar. Major guitar players, and that's where I got to tell you a little story about when I realized I was really getting old. And it was the winter of 1984, and the company I worked for, they'd gotten a contract with the Postal Service to do roofing inspections, so they sent a group of us up to Chicago to learn how to inspect roofs. So after a day of being in class, I was rooming with Bob, a fellow from our Dallas office, and we took our books up to a room. We're coming back down to go to the bar, have a couple drinks before dinner, And the elevator goes down a couple floors, and these three guys get on the elevator, and they don't look like they belong in a Sheraton O'Hare. I mean, one guy had a parka on, looked like he'd been drugged behind a van for 100 miles, and the other guy had a sport coat on. All of them had real long hair, and we're talking Chicago in February, so it was extremely cold outside. So elevator hits the bottom floor, and there was like a little alleyway where they could walk and go out to where people would drop off and things like this. And there was a limo sitting out there, and there was all these young girls out there just screaming and hollering. And of course they ran to the door. There was their handlers that were helping them get to the limo, and they took off riding. And I looked at Bob, and Bob looked at me, and we said, "Who the heck is that?" So we found out that was Van Halen, and had no idea who they were. So like I said, that was the day I was kind of like, well, Van, you are getting old. And but in that guitar area up there, they showed like 20-minute tapes of each stories of the guitars, and Eddie Van Halen was one of them. He was a gentleman in the sport coat, and it was very interesting how he basically made a comment in his video that stated that he kind of took a guitar and kind of took parts from other places, and he made his own Pacific guitar. Never really had lessons, but he said that was probably some of the reason why he was so inventive on the guitar, because he wasn't taught a certain way. So it was good to do things that you're not used to, and it was very, very good to go to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, commonly called Rock Hall. So if you're in the Cleveland area, I would strongly suggest you go there. I hope you've enjoyed, and I sure hope to see you next week.
If you like the video, make sure you give it a thumbs up.
Turn on your post notifications.
Put the comments down below. Subscribe and you make me happy.